name is Kevin Fernandez, and welcome to my channel, Gamers Genie. Today, I'm going to talk about my top 10 public domain characters I would like to see in Unmatched. A couple months ago, I did a list that was my top 10 characters that are, IP. Basically, the way I kind of narrowed that one down is just like something that is under the control of a studio or something like that. And one of them did come true. We are going to be getting a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Unmatched set pretty soon, so pretty excited about that. So hopefully maybe some of these characters would show up. Now, this one we're doing specific characters, and I might just kind of bat around what kind of sets would go well with this if I have an idea. If I don't really have an idea, I'll just say it. But before I get started, I do want to say there is an honorable mention. One of the characters that I did not include in this list, and I batted it around for a long time, is James Bond. I like James Bond. I know there's quite a bit of people that do like the James Bond franchise. However, the character that people are very familiar with are the ones from the movies, is the character from the movies. And so I couldn't really figure out how, what would be the proper approach. Would you go off of what the books say he looks like? Would you go off of like Daniel Craig or Sean Connery, as those are the two that are the most, I guess, it's the two that people think of the most when you think about that. So, but I thought that was like a little too much of a headache to do. So I just decided to eliminate them and just have them as an honorable mention. So James Bond is an honorable mention on this list. Now with that out of the way, let's count down. Okay, so number 10 is Hansel und Gretel from Grimm's Fairy Tales. I picked this one because I wanted to pick characters or a character that would kind of get that same feeling like Little Red Riding Hood or Alice from Alice in Wonderland. Really? That's in this game? This is a fighting game. How does that work? Very weird. But yeah, I thought Hansel and Gretel would be a good one. The set that I feel like these characters would fit in the most is maybe a Battle of Legends Volume 3, where they just mix them up. If not, something I would like to see the most from that would be definitely I would say it would be pretty cool to see like a fairy tale thing. Like you take 4 characters from fairy tales and you put them in there. Hansel and Gretel, I feel like, would be more like a, 2 miniature characters, kind of like Cloak and Dagger are. I know on Restoration Games is starting to do a lot more of that, where they're taking 2 characters and they're giving each one a mini instead of one's the main one and one's the sidekick. So I don't feel like Hansel would be the sidekick, and I don't think Gretel would be the sidekick either. But I mean, maybe Hansel would be the sidekick because he was the one who just got really, really fat and almost got eaten. Gretel was kind of the one who got him out of it. So yeah, I thought this would be a very interesting one. Number 10, Hansel und Gretel. Okay, so number 9 is Captain Nemo from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. I picked this because I love Jules Verne. I love his books. I do understand, though, reading these books, these are, science fiction from the Old West, basically. And so a lot of the stuff in his books are now science fact. They're no longer science fiction. But I do like Captain Nemo as a character. I like that he is pretty hardened from disaster, war ravaging his country and everything like that. So he has no faith in humanity. And he kind of is a loose cannon and feels like people don't don't deserve a second chance. He got to that point in his life, and I figured like one of the cool things about this would be like you know, you could kind of put that into the character, like maybe randomly he just attacks people. You know, he just randomly attacks people without thinking. That's kind of one of the things that makes the character pretty cool. I feel like if there was going to be set, maybe it'd just be a 1v1 where you could put him and like another character from like maybe Jules Verne or maybe another science fiction author like H.G. Wells or something like that. I mean, of course, they don't need to match entirely. Some of them, you know, they do match pretty well, but you know, like let's face facts. How many people saw Beowulf versus Little Red Riding Hood and was just like, oh, okay. But yeah, I thought that would be pretty interesting. Maybe Captain Ahab, you know, since they both have a pretty big temper, and they both obsess with revenge, kind of. So, yeah, definitely number 9, Captain Nemo. Okay, so number 8, I'm doing a lot of literature here, so just watch out. Most of these characters I picked, well, actually, pretty much all of them are from some form of a book. But I picked Tom Sawyer because I wanted to find characters that would not feel like they feel like they belong here. I feel like Tom Sawyer would be an interesting character. So instead of like beating people like himself, a lot of his cards could involve tricking people into attacking into attacking themselves or attacking like you know, your other people on their team or something. Like it can involve like getting people to do something that they normally wouldn't do, because Tom Sawyer in the books, he's very good at, you know, playing people, tricking them into doing stuff that he didn't want to do. I don't feel like Tom Sawyer. He likes to play Robin Hood with his friends and everything. He likes to play adventures and fight and goes on sword fights and everything. But in the book, you know, when he gets his own adventure and like the dangers are real and everything, he kind of chickens out. He doesn't really feel like, you know, pursuing this. He kind of just wants to back off, go back to safety. So I feel like playing into that would be a really fun set. What would be really interesting is if you had like Old West with him. I feel like that would be pretty interesting. Like you could have him, and then you could have like, I don't know, Billy the Kid or something like that. You know, or if you want to go like fictional some more, fiction versus fiction, you could go with like Pecos Bill. Would be pretty good. Like the Pecos Bill from like the Legends and all that stuff. That would be pretty interesting too. His Pecos Bill's sidekick could be Widowmaker. That'd be pretty interesting. So yeah, number 8 is Tom Sawyer. Okay, so number 7. This one I would partner with Captain Nemo, like I said previously, is Long John Silver from Treasure Island. I really feel like this character would be really good. One of the cool things, it would add an extra element where like Long John Silver can betray, like if you're playing a 2 versus 2, he could betray people or something like that. That would be very interesting. Because in the book, you know, Silver betrayed the crew of the Hispaniola, revealed that he was part of Flint's crew, but then he betrayed Flint's crew so he can help Jim because he cared more about Jim Hawkins. He had like a lot more of a fatherly urge to protect, which was pretty cool. So you could do something along those lines. And I thought this would be pretty cool because he is a fighter. You know, he's a pirate. He's a fighter. I don't think we have that many pirates. We haven't had a pirate set yet. That would be pretty cool. We need some pirates in this game. Be they fiction, be they real. But no sidekick needed if you don't want to. But if you do, you could make his sidekick Jim Hawkins. I feel like this character would be very interesting. You know, one of the things is Long John Silver had a great way of playing on people's sympathies. Even after he betrayed, like, Squire Trelawney and Captain Smollett, he still was able to, like, try to get them to sympathize with him, and to get him to at least hear him out. So I thought a character like that would be very interesting. Would be very interesting to see in Unmatched. I would love to see this. Number 7, Long John Silver. Okay, so number 6 is Aladdin from, a little history about Aladdin. He is not actually one of the original stories from Arabian Nights. He was actually added into that when they translated it to French. A French author who was, had a job. He felt it needed another story, so he added Aladdin. Clearly, he did not pay attention to a lot of these stories because it says in the book that he is Chinese, and it's called Arabian Nights. But it's in the book. But I feel like we would portray Aladdin based off of like how a lot of people now see him. Obviously, and I feel like his sidekick would be the Genie of the Ring. In the story, he actually used the Genie of the Ring a lot more than he used the Genie of the Lamp. In, of course, the Disney film, which is the one we all remember, he used the Genie of the Lamp, and there was only a Genie of the Lamp. And they kind of combined the two. They kind of combined the two of the lamp and the ring, where it's like, the lamp in the book had no limitations to what he could do. The ring was the one who had all those rules. Can't kill anybody, can't bring anybody back from the dead, can't make anybody fall in love, stuff like that. But, I thought Aladdin would be a pretty cool one. You could figure out how to add that he is a thief in that, and I would like to see like how you would incorporate that instead of him just being like like maybe because he's a thief, if you're attacking and the character's figure is like standing, if you're standing like right behind the character, you get like a +2 attack or something like that. And then like you get an ability where you can move to the other side of the board because he knows like all the ins and outs of whatever location he is in. Thought that would be pretty interesting. Heck, you know what? What would be really good characters to put in this would be, of course, other characters from the 1001 Arabian Nights, like Ali Baba. Obviously, you can't put Sinbad in there because he's already in there, so that'd be pretty cool to have Aladdin and Sinbad fight each other. You can put, like, Jafar in there. That would be pretty interesting. I'm not... Right now, off the top of my head, I just remembered only the 3, like Kasim, Sinbad, Aladdin, and then, there was Jafar, but Jafar was in Aladdin. So, yeah, I think that would be pretty interesting. I feel like all those characters would feel very unique. Like Sinbad. Sinbad's very unique with his voyages and everything like that. So I feel like we need another character that's from that kind of stuff. So I feel like Aladdin would be the next step. That's why number 6 is Aladdin. Okay, so number 5 is The Mask. Now, this character is not that melodrama character from the movie Mask. Of course, this is The Mask. This is the character that they based the Jim Carrey movie off of. But the Mask that I'm talking about is the one that we've read in the comics. Obviously, this game is not for kids. I believe it's like 14 and up. What was the age range? Oh no, it's 9 and up. Okay, so maybe not make it too graphic, since it is for 9-year-olds. Since this game is for 9-year-olds, maybe not make it too graphic, but you could kind of use a lot of the cartoony powers that he has for this. So keep it like 80s PG. Let's keep it 80s PG right there. So yeah, practically PG-13. I thought this character would be pretty interesting. You could do like a Jekyll and Hyde thing, where, obviously the choice would be Stanley Ipkiss and the Mask, mostly because Ipkiss is probably, because of the Jim Carrey movie, he is the most famous alter ego of that character. And so, like, when he takes off the mask, he can be hurt, but when he puts it back on, he can't be damaged back. So no counterattacks would hurt him. And what could be cool is like when it's not your turn, it's day, so the mask doesn't work. But when it is your turn, it's night, so the mask does work. Because you gotta make sure you can damage these characters. You can't 100% be unfair with this. But I thought this would give it some mechanics that would probably make the game more interesting. Of course, add a little more strategy to the game. I thought it also would be really fun or funny. You could kind of do like, could be really creative with the artwork. You can go dark or you can go goofy. It'd be pretty, or goofy dark. But yeah, number 5 is The Mask. Okay, so number 4, this was inspired by a lot of suggestions, people saying that we need another Cobble and Fog expansion. So number 4 is Van Helsing. He was kind of the main antagonist for, he was the protagonist for Dracula. He was the one who, was suspicious of him. He was the one who, pointed out like that, he has no reflection. He was the one who, knew all the weaknesses and everything. So it'd be very interesting to see Van Helsing, especially because we have Dracula, so that would be pretty cool. You could definitely put him in a set that's like Cobble and Fog 2, but I don't really think they should call it Cobble and Fog 2. I don't know. Maybe just call it Cobble and Fog Volume 2. That'd be pretty interesting. I don't think you should give him a sidekick. I don't know if Van Helsing ever had a sidekick. Unless you want to go after that movie that had Hugh Jackman, then you guess you could be Friar Carl. But this would be a very interesting character to have in this. He has like a lot of different weapons to defeat supernatural characters. And it would be pretty cool. We added like the Wolfman in that, or Frankenstein's monster, or even one of the characters that I have like right after him, which I will reveal very soon. But so with that tease, number 4 is Van Helsing. Okay, so number 3 is Dorian Gray. I thought this character, again, would be really unique. His sidekick could be his portrait. The reason why I would want to make that his sidekick, because I thought this would be interesting. So we always have to kind of keep the sidekick and the hero, a lot of the times we kind of always keep them like close to each other. Sometimes we separate them so we can get a little bit of an advantage. Dorian can never be in the same zone as his sidekick. So if his portrait is in the same zone as him, he has to go to a different zone automatically. And there'd be all sorts of ways you can kind of manipulate that. And so if he's ever adjacent to his portrait, this is kind of a rough draft. I feel like the zone is a little too much. So if it gets too close, like 3 spaces, he can try to move away. But if he's ever adjacent to his space, so right next to the portrait, then that's when the opponents can try to kill him, because that's when he can take fatal damage, because he's seeing his portrait. But if you destroy the portrait before you destroy Dorian, then you can completely damage him entirely. But that would be pretty cool. He could be invincible as long as he's not with it within like a certain number of spaces of his portrait. And then if he's like adjacent to the portrait, then everybody can just dogpile him and attack him. It's very interesting to me. It's this would go very well with Van Helsing, because he's kind of a horror franchise. Obviously, we can't add another Sherlock Holmes character because there's only Sherlock Holmes. I mean, I guess you could put Professor Moriarty in there, but I don't know. Thus far, we haven't had that many rehashes of stuff in the, we have the Marvel stuff. We have the Jurassic Park stuff. The Turtles are coming. But, Restoration Games, when they use an IP, we got Witcher coming soon. Restoration Games seems to be like, once we kind of used a character from something, we're not going to just like take a character from that same something and we're going to like put him in there. But yeah, number 3, Dorian Gray. Alright, so number 2 would be Ichabod Crane from The Legend of Sleepy Hollow. This character, again, I wanted another character that doesn't feel like he'd fit in this. I feel like some of the best characters from Unmatched, at least in my opinion, were characters that feel like they don't belong in Unmatched. Because I feel like that's what gives Unmatched its edge. Is that it has characters that you'd be scratching your head going, really? That's in here? Ichabod Crane could... I don't think he'd have a sidekick because he's kind of usually alone. He is supposed to be very smart. He's supposed to be a very smart person. His powers could be like, he uses his brains. Kind of like Ellie Sattler from Jurassic Park. She kind of uses the fact that it kind of uses that she's a scientist. And she understands that. So you can kind of have another character like that where it's not necessarily brawn that can win you the game, but more like strategy. How does this character can... Now, I don't know how you would incorporate the Headless Horseman. Obviously, that character might have a better chance of making it in. I'm just putting Ichabod Crane because he's the main character of that story into that. I thought it'd be pretty interesting to have him in there. Plus, right now as I'm filming this, it is October and it's almost Halloween when this is released. When this is released, it's almost Halloween. So I thought putting in as many characters from like horror stuff, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll just pick, we'll talk about that when we're done with the list. So yeah, number 2 is Ichabod Crane. Okay, so number 1 is Zorro. Now, I want to point out that is 2 R's. It's Z-O-R-R-O, not the Roranora Zorro. This one is, I love this character. I've read his comics. I've seen all the episodes from the old TV show. I've seen every single movie that's come out. This character was like probably one of the major reasons why I got into like comic books and fiction in general. I love that character very, very much, and I really, really would want to see this character in there. There's only, in my opinion, there is only one set that you can do that can do justice to Zorro, and that is base it off of the comic book Zorro versus Django. Like, base it off of that. Have Django be the other character. Two-player map. You can have like California on one side. You can have like maybe, I don't know, Texas. I know he was in the South, but I guess it was Louisiana. I guess you could do that. Something you could probably put like that mansion, or something like that. I don't know, but just please bring back double-sided maps. That's one of the reasons why I like Unmatched Adventures, is because we finally have double-sided maps where there's a different map on each side, and I feel like this character would be a good way to doing that. I just miss it where you have two different maps for the characters instead of just one, and then they have one with those little alternate spaces in the zones and all that stuff. Let's get rid of that. Let's bring back those double-sided maps, and we'll also include our my number one pick, Zorro. All right, so there you go. There's all my top 10 favorite public domain characters I'd like to see in Unmatched. I really do like making these top 10s lists for Unmatched characters. So I was thinking maybe next year around the same time, or actually before October. Actually, I should do it on October. It wouldn't really affect it. Maybe I could do my top 10 favorite like horror icons that I'd like to see on Unmatched. If you'd like me to make that list, let me know in the comments below. But also, and more importantly, if you have any characters that are public domain or not so public domain that you'd like to see in this game, please let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. If you enjoyed this list, though, please give it a like, hit that subscribe button, and ring the notification bell to be notified for my next top 10s list. And if you're a big fan of the channel as a whole, consider becoming a Patreon supporter on our Patreon page. You can support us for as little as $1 a month, which gives you early access to how to play videos like how to play Unmatched. And be on the lookout for our next top 10s list. But until then, thanks for the views.